China's government has reportedly ordered its domestic airlines to stop accepting deliveries of Boeing jets and to halt purchases of aircraft parts from the U.S. This is according to a Bloomberg News report. The move comes as, of course, trade tensions escalate between China and the U.S. Last week, the Trump administration increased tariffs on Chinese imports to as high as 145%. China responded with 125% tariffs on U.S. goods. Boeing has declined to comment on China's order, but according to data gatherer Aviation Flights Group, Boeing was preparing to send 10 737 MAX aircrafts to Chinese carriers in the near future. CBS News MoneyWatch correspondent Kelly O'Grady joins us in Studio 57 to break this down. What does this mean for Boeing and the aircraft industry?
So, look, it's not good for Boeing, and you can see investors reacted that way today. The stock was down over 2%. But let's remember, Boeing has been taking it on the chin over the past year or so.
What does that mean?
Taking it on the chin, I guess, kind of getting knocked out a little bit in a fight.
Okay.
I don't know, it's an expression in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Maybe I'm regionalizing myself. But, they've had the whistleblower issues. They've had the brand issues. So this is sort of yet another thing for them. They're an iconic American company that China is targeting here. Boeing is the biggest U.S. exporter. They are responsible for the most in terms of one company exports. And then what does it mean for the U.S., for the air industry, rather, not just the U.S. one? Well, Airbus, which is not an American company, this is a good opportunity for them to slot in and maybe take some of that market share with China.
When it comes to Boeing, is there any way they can offset this by exporting to other countries?
It's a possibility. There has been some interest from some of India's commercial airlines, but China just represents such a big market for them. Over the next 2 decades, China represented 20% of their demand when it comes to these commercial planes. So that's going to be really hard to replace.
Well, and Boeing CEO last month just said 80% of its commercial planes are delivered outside the U.S. So, yes, they manufacture domestically. But does that help if there isn't an international market for these planes?
Possibly, but let's remember that the commercial piece of their business is just one part of it.
Okay.
Over a third of their revenue in total comes from government contracts and their defense business. So that's a really important part with that domestic manufacturing. But you're right, it doesn't help when about half of their business comes from those commercial planes.
Let's talk about this probe into the imports of semiconductor chips, computer chips, the impact on national security. Does this tee up the administration for more tariffs down the line?
Well, that's where you could see investors speculating based on how some of these chip stocks traded today. So the president has said that he is considering tariffs on the semiconductor industry as well as some others. We do know that this part of this probe is a national security probe. Let's also remember tariffs have been used in the name of national security on products like aluminum and steel. And so that's what investors are really watching for. And this would impact companies like NVIDIA, for example, which get most of their chips from Taiwan.
Okay, Kelly O'Grady, thank you.